You must go before you are discovered.
There's been a mistake.
There's been no mistake.
Please. A terrible war is looming. And even victory may be so bloody as to be counted a loss.
Do not let your pride blind you.
There's been no mistake.
Who's going to strike first here, okay? Will Rhaenyra try to keep explaining the prophecy, which I don't think she wants to do. Like, she considers that a family secret. I think she's, like, more steadfast than ever now. And this is going to make her be like, no, we got to go to war.
Don't you think as far as who moves first, it's not going to be either of them? It's going to be Daemon and Kristen Cole or somebody that's already out there making moves, right?
It does feel like she's going to intervene when she has to. And I think that's going to be after she loses a lot of her people.
Welcome back to the after show here on the break room. Nobody in Westeros wants to use their WMDs. And of course, I'm speaking of weapons in the form of massive dragons. Hit that graphic.
AFTERS.
Is that the rap song that plays over?
AFTERS show. I can't.
I think the after, in the show would have worked.
We gotta work it out. Today we're talking about House of the Dragon, Season 2, Episode 3. Are Alicent and Rhaenyra done for good? Can we get these BFFs back together? Who strikes first in this War of the Dragons? And what's Daemon's deal? We'll get into all that and more. I'm Brandon Barrick. Joining me today, she once pulled a knife on me when she was dressed up as a nun in the Sept. It's Jessica Clemons.
Got a shank on me at all times. Also, I'm just trying to pray.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, man, you got to keep those pastors away from you. They're dangerous folk. And he's always claiming that he's the bastard son of Targaryen royalty. It's Zach Huddleston.
Hey, I just had some venison, black cabbage, and peas. No red currants. Sorry.
Damn, can you believe he got served peas without red currant?
Damn.
That's cold as ice. That's cold as ice. I would throw that back in the chef's face.
How are we doing? So currants for us North Americans are raisins.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a different fruit, but they're like tiny raisins.
They're grapes.
So like, do you think
raisin is a dried grape?
Okay, but a currant is a dried fruit.
It's a dry. Well, currant is a full. It's like a grape.
Oh, so when it's dried, it's also called a currant?
I believe so.
It sounds like you guys are about to say Corinthians.
Corinthians.
Currantians, 515.
Also, during that time, you're not really fighting for the food you got. Be happy with the food you get.
Yeah. What do you think the kitchen's like at Harrenhal? You think it's like the Bear?
Moist.
Where they're like,
filthy.
Come on, cuz, I need more peas.
It's mold, filth, debris.
Filth, moist.
Yeah, that black cabbage and peas didn't start out black.
Can't get the ovens lit, that's for sure.
Ooh.
Well, as we do on every week here of the House of the Dragons after show, we're not going to get too much into book spoilers, so you don't have to worry about that. If we talk about the book at all, it's mainly going to focus on changes from Fire and Blood as they come up in the show. So you don't have to worry about book spoilers as we do this show. So if you haven't read the books, don't worry about that. But before we get into our biggest questions from this episode, Jessica, kick us off with a little bit of a recap.
We start with members of House Bracken and Blackwood arguing, each side supporting a different ruler. Quick cut to the brutal aftermath, both taking heavy casualties. Could the battle at the Burning Mill be a quick example of things to come? I guess so.
Yes.
I assume. Aegon's council is quick to point out this is an ancient grudge, but no one can remember why it started. Kind of similar to what is happening in Westeros right now. Aegon wants to declare this fight a victory for himself, and Samuel Blackwood was killed, but his council is hesitant. And Christian Cole, who nails the stressed out face of every underqualified person at a new job, suggests that he will ride to Harrenhal, get folks from the Riverlands, and secure the houses for the Greens. Stupid idiot.
I mean, he's smart. When you're in a meeting and you get called on, you don't have an answer, just stay silent.
Do not.
Just stay quiet.
But that face was a straight...
He was like, he's just like looking forward. They're like, what do we do for this war? And he's just like...
If the blacks or the dragons or the greens don't get him, like, his stress levels will. Like,
is there a third twin I could send to go kill Rhaenyra? Derek?
What's your plan, Sir Kristen? Send another twin?
Calling it a third twin, not a
third twin.
Hey man, Christian Cole's not smart, okay?
Oh, I see. You were being Christian Cole.
That's right.
In this scenario. Okay.
Stop.
Christian Cole.
Aegon loves this plan and wants to fight himself, but they can't risk losing him. And also, no dragon fighting because a dragon invites more dragons, which is bad. Of course, 2 cats equal bad cats. Later, it's Larys that convinces Aegon not to head to the front, and his skills of being a master of whisperers are recognized.
So, in his infinite wisdom, Cole sets off with his men, Alicent's blessing, and her brother, Gwaine Hightower. Gwaine, what a name.
Just throw a G in the front of your name, dog. Don't matter what it is.
Also, that blessing. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So they are in love?
Well, I think that was a very shrewd move by Kristen Cole, because Alicent's been giving the cold shoulder ever since, you know, Dad got fired, Eric's dead. Like, Kristen Cole's been messing up. She's like, I can't believe I'm f***ing this idiot. And she's been getting the cold shoulder. So, like, he does this thing where it's like, he does a very ancient move where he's like, may I have your favor, as like the Queen Dowager. And like, she can't deny that. She can't be like, no, you can't have it. And it's a way of like forcing her to talk to him. And like, she kind of has to do it because it's like this, she follows the standards and the practices of like royalty. And so by calling her out and making her do it, she kind of has to do it. But she also, deep down, I think has feelings for Kristen Cole. Is just mad at him. But like, it's like, yes, I don't want you to die, but I don't want to say it. But like, here, take my titty hanky and have a nice ride.
It's not a titty hanky.
It came right out of the titty.
They also have different meanings for everyone, different colors. But hers is the love one or whatever. So I was like,
It also harkens back to the tournament in season 1 when they were getting favors from each other.
Another quick aside, Gwaine is played by an actor, Freddie Fox, who, if you've seen the show Slow Horses, or he's been in some other English productions, but he's from like a super famous English acting family. Like, both his parents were...
Nepotism, huh?
Yeah, baby. They got it on both sides of the pond, okay? We're growing Nepo babies everywhere.
Universal, dog.
Yes.
he looks so, he looks fine. He looks fine as a person. It's just so, maybe it's because he's so clean.
Yeah.
In the show, and I'm like, you should be dirty as hell, right?
He's actually like a real life Lannister looking.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah,
He
he
has
look-
like
yeah.
white hair and he's like
Those little
super blonde.
freckles.
Yes. But last we saw Gwaine, he was getting messed up by Daemon in the first episode of the show back then.
It was a different actor
tournament.
in that tournament.
Yeah, we didn't see a lot of his face.
Nah, he just gets
This actor is maybe a little bit better actor. So this.
Damn.
Well, or no, better
Let's hope
known.
the original Gwaine's not dead.
A better known actor that maybe they, you know, he's got to carry more weight
Watching
now.
Gwaine, we're sorry.
Yeah, come on the show, OG
original
Gwaine.
Gwayne?
Yeah.
OG, original
Gwaine.
Gwaine. Lastly, Alicent visits Helena. They have a nice, like, kind of mother-daughter bonding moment, though Helena, in her psychic, creepy way, says, I forgive you. We don't know for what. Probably for screwing Kristen Cole instead of, like, allowing him to be on guard.
I think it's a bigger
Or maybe for
forgiveness.
like making me marry my brother, for making my brother the king.
For being an awful mother, all those things. I think it is like all Alicent's been doing since that moment is looking for absolution. She's been looking for forgiveness, and no one is giving it to her. Like when she tried to confess to Otto, he's like, I don't want to hear anything about what's going on with you. You know what I mean? Like in the previous episode, she tried to say like, this is all my fault. Like Jaehaerys dying is my fault, and she thinks like her actions, both with Kristen Cole, but like all of her actions in general, have led to this like curse. You know, she's being punished by the gods, and like all she wants is someone to say you're forgiven, and no one will say it to her, and Helena does. And I think Helena senses that she's looking for that forgiveness, and Helena, I think it is a big, you're forgiven, like because you were a terrible mother.
Well, also, there's potential here because Helena has some kind of visions of the future,
Yeah, she sees the
whether they're
future.
accurate or not, and like maybe also a little forgiveness for what she knows is gonna come.
Maybe I don't know.
I like that moment. I mean, the way they've rounded out that Helena character, considering what did she probably have 5 lines before this season?
She hasn't spoken much in the show, too much, and again, like in the book, this character is not given much to do.
Yeah,
you know.
But they're giving that actor
Yeah.
a lot to do, and that character. I like the little nuances in the scenes, and talented actor. I'm enjoying the Helena character. At Dragonstone, the Blacks, Barry, Arik, and Eric together, shoulder to shoulder.
Ugh.
Couldn't even get separate graves for my guys.
They're also like on the side of a mountain. Like, it's not a graveyard.
No.
They're like out back.
You
Well,
guys!
Well, looks like it. There's not a lot of like real arable land up
Yes,
at Dragonstone.
exactly.
You know,
Well,
you
also-
gotta chisel through.
Yeah. Also, the Targaryens don't really get buried; they get like burnt.
They get
right?
burnt.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
a
like
good point.
we've never done this before. I guess we put them together. I don't know.
They're brothers. The brothers. But
I
also,
feel like Jace was like, "Why are you throwing this traitor in here with his brother? That's disrespectful." She's like, "No, they loved each other. It's fine." She also can't tell which one's which, so she was like, put them together.
Rhaenyra's council is also itching to send out their dragons. An interesting theme here in this episode is like both councils are like, let's go to war to differing degrees and different angles. But Rhaenyra gives Mysaria a place in her court for saving her life. Seems like those two characters are kind of bonding. She's learning to trust the White Worm and vice versa. Which that's kind of a cool allyship we might talk about more later. She also decides to send her younger children, Joffrey, Aegon, and Viserys, off with Rhaena, one of Daemon's daughters. They will travel to stay with Lady Jane Arryn, which if it's an Arryn, they're up in a castle, real safe, real weird.
Throwing people through the moon hole.
Only weirdos live in the Vale. Let's hope. I think
only weirdos in the tower. Or something.
that's right. Last weirdos left alive. Which we do see this character in some trailer footage. So we're probably going to spend some time with Lady Jane Arryn. So that'll be interesting. And of course, she's going to protect the kids in exchange for a dragon. Joffrey's dragon, Tyraxes. A little Doberman Pinscher sized.
He's definitely smaller. Yeah, he's still, because when we see the kind of
able to be carried in a little cart by some guys. Yeah. And then at first, Rhaena's resentful because she's dragonless and getting sent off. But it does seem like Rhaenyra really cares about her safety and is kind of giving her this really important duty of watching after all the kids. So there's a big sense of trust there.
It's easy that someone could just slay all her children at once.
Right.
And that bloodline.
Yeah, because she's like, we don't see a lot of maps on this show. Unfortunately, like one thing I liked about Game of Thrones is they showed you a map at the beginning of every episode, so you could see. But like Dragonstone and
King's Landing are close.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Like as Rhaenyra says, it's like a dragon flight away. It's very close. And like she's worried about these kids, and she's saying like Joffrey's gonna go to the Vale, right? With his dragon, but she even says in that line, and then I think you need to take Aegon and Viserys like even farther. Like that's where she brings up Pentos, because Rhaena's like, oh, where my mom died, and like she was also born on Pentos, but like she wants to get them like across the ocean. Like you got to get my youngest kids like out of here, because like I got to keep them safe. Like she's torn up about it.
Which do we know? So the line of succession after Rhaenyra, like Jace is her oldest son.
Would be Jacaerys would be the next,
but it wouldn't go to one of the Daemon and Rhaenyra kids.
Not at this point, no.
Okay.
Because like in theory, yes, it should be her oldest child,
regardless of father or whatever.
Yeah, regardless of who the dad is. So Daemon decides to take Harrenhal, and surprisingly, it's pretty easy to do. He was ready to fight. I mean, I felt bad for that poor guard who was like, halt! He's like, oh, I'm gonna this guy up, dude. He also wants to take the Riverlands and take those forces and march on King's Landing. So if you haven't guessed, the Riverlands, Harrenhal, very important strategically. They're close to King's Landing. Lord of the House Strong, Simon Strong, he pledges fealty to Rhaenyra, but Daemon, interestingly, is like, you can refer to me as your grace. Kind of pulling like a little power move, like
because he first calls him Prince.
Yes, because he is the king consort, if you will. It's also, I don't know if the Strong like knew that they got married, even because remember they had their weird little dragon Targaryen wedding, and so I don't know how much Simon Strong knows about that. He's following protocol. He's just because like you don't call both the king and queen your grace, right? It's only the one who's like the anointed one. So like, Daemon being like, no, you can call me your grace. And Simon Strong's like, I'm not going to fight that. I'll say it if you want to. But he's also like, Rhaenyra's not around to push him on it. This is like when he came back from the Stepstones and he had the crown on. And he was like, yeah, they call me the king of the narrow sea. But you can have this, brother. Like, I was just using that title while I was away. I think it's like Daemon kind of flirting with, I want to be king. And he's mad at Rhaenyra. He wants to be his own man. He doesn't want to act like he's following orders. He wants to act like he's making decisions. But he's clearly feeling guilty about his situation with Rhaenyra in that last fight they had, because he has this creepy dream of a young Rhaenyra, Millie Alcott, coming back, reprising her role as young Rhaenyra. She's sewing Jaehaerys' head back on. They paid a lot for that dummy. They're going to get a lot of use out of it. And she mentions that she's always cleaning up Daemon's messes.
Yeah, how'd you guys feel seeing Millie Alcock?
It was great. I popped.
I was so happy to see her. Because kind of reviewing season 1 leading up to the season and watching those older episodes, like, oh, I forgot how good those young actors were in those roles. And that's who we were first introduced to. And like, we kind of fell in love with those characters and then we never get to see them again. So it was great seeing like a young Rhaneyra.
She's
again.
Supergirl, right?
Yeah, she's going to be the new
Supergirl?
Supergirl in James Gunn. That's why I thought it was weird when she flew out. She flew away. She said, "Sorry, Daemon, I'm going to the DC universe."
She dropped the baby in the half the head and go, away!
Away! Up and away!
This is my cousin, Kal-El.
Oh!
It's missing its head.
Is this a moment where you can talk about? So obviously, Daemon's hallucinating, dreaming, tripping, something like that. Do we think that's? And then the next time we see him, he's like, was that a weirwood tree?
Yes.
He was touching, right?
Yes.
So like, is that the weirwood tree giving him visions? Is that maybe he's been dosed in his venison and black cabbage by something? Is it the weird mold of Harrenhal?
Right. I think there's a lot of things. I mean, it's important to note that Harrenhal is considered a very cursed location. When they talked about it in Game of Thrones, it was always mentioned as being a cursed place.
Literally, like the day it opened, the day it's done getting built, it gets burned down by dragons.
Harrenhal took like 40 years to build. It was built by
the Herons.
It was built by Hagar the Black, I think was his name, the last guy who like had it finished, and like they cut down. Supposedly they cut down like 3,000-year-old weirwood trees to build it, so that was part of the curse. They used like captive, prisoners to help build it, and they died during its construction. So like the rumors were that like blood was mixed into the mortar and all that stuff. So the day they finished the castle, Aegon shows up. Original Aegon's conquest and his 3 dragons with his sister wives. And the walls of Harrenhal are very tall, and so it's like, oh, no one can break into this place. They fly right over. Balerion the Black Dread, his fire melts the castle. That's why it kind of has like a melty look to it. Like the big stone towers are kind of like melted a little bit. And then many houses would like live in that castle after that moment, but every time they would fall to ruin and like be gone and like basically die
already
out.
Weren't the Strongs?
And the Strongs were the last one there, and they're basically died out.
They already got burnt out.
Larys Clubfoot ain't gonna be having kids anytime soon. The place is considered haunted and ghostly. Like that's kind of why I think Daemon is like a little jumpy as he's walking around. It's creepy. There's bats flying around. We see the burnt banners of House Strong. Like it's a very creepy place. And there's also a character there that we meet that book readers have been excited to see. Alice Rivers. She's the dark-haired woman who's both in the room when they're dining, and then she's in that vision later.
What does she say? You're gonna die here?
Yeah, she says you're gonna die here. And like Alice Rivers, this isn't too spoilery, but she's a very mysterious figure in the book.
Is Rivers much like Snow and Sand? That's a bastard last name?
Yes, she is like a bastard child that is like...
In the Riverlands, you get Rivers. Right. In the North, you get Snow.
Yeah,
right?
And the book makes it very clear they have no idea how old she is. And it's just like, she's both old and young and like just this very mysterious figure.
It's kind of like me, right?
Yeah, kind of like Evan. We have no idea how old.
Evan's actually 45.
Evan could be my dad, could be my son.
Evan's been here for 50 years. Evan came with the building, so we have no idea.
Oh my God, he came with the building.
So we don't know what's going on with Daemon. Yeah, very creepy. I mean, I think the door thing was creepier. I think that was part of his vision. I don't know. I don't know when the vision began and when it ended.
What do you mean the door thing?
When he's in his room and he has the door barricaded with the sword and it's being pushed on and it's rattling. And he opens it and there's no one there.
I also like, it wasn't his sword.
No.
It's like the room's sword.
He's not going to put Dark Sister in the fucking door. That's
you really don't want that door open. You might put
but you want to have Dark Sister on the go.
That's true.
You want to have it by your bedside. That's true. So then we see a great scene with Bela riding Moon Dancer where she chases Cole and Gwaine Hightower on her dragon into the forest. Maybe not the best idea, but I like her taking initiative. I mean, if she could have killed those dudes right then, it would solve a lot of problems.
She was
She was
kind of trying to.
She was trying to, and I love how Rhaneyra was like, I told you not to interfere. She's like, I didn't interfere. I never touched them. As close as I could. I did get worried because we didn't see the whole complement they were traveling with. I was like, I don't think they have a scorpion, like the big crossbow thing that can shoot down dragons. Because that was my fear, that one of those would come shooting out of the woods all of a sudden. But man, I hate Christian Cole, but like that was like a fun moment for him Gwen Hightower being like, we're going to sleep in an inn. I'm not sleeping on the ground, you weirdo, you freak. And he's like, quiet. It looks at the sky. We're being watched. And it's just like that was a sick move. And also, we could barely see Caraxes as it flew into Harrenhal because, they cover up a little CGI with rain and darkness. But Moon Dancer in full sun looked great.
Yeah.
Love the stripes on the wings. Very cool.
Also,
Very
the
cool.
proportions of dragon to rider, it's a little bit more Avatar or whatever, right? Like it's a smaller dragon, obviously.
Younger dragon.
It's like, Daemon or certainly Aemond, when they're on their gigantic dragons, it's like, wait, how does that even work?
Also their dragons grow with them.
Yeah.
Especially the younger people. They get the baby
she
eggs
grew up
to
with
grow
Moon
with.
Dancer. That was an egg that was placed in her cradle. It hatched the traditional Targaryen way. So Rhaenyra decides she's going to sneak into King's Landing and speak to Alicent. Rhaenys is like, hey, if you and Alicent could just talk, we could get this figured out. I kind of thought, because Alicent is now living in Rhaenyra's old room that as a child Rhaenyra snuck out of through a passageway. I thought Rhaenyra was going to come in through that same passageway. But it probably makes sense. I mean, they're probably really watching the passageways now.
Yes.
They got those on lockdown. Instead, we get this awesome scene of Rhaenyra wearing like a nun outfit.
She looks great as a nun.
Kind of bringing back the walk of shame that Cersei went through.
Shame.
Like had remnants of that. But sneaking into the sept, meeting Alicent, where Rhaenyra gets clarity on her father's last words, and Alicent believes her son should be king and kind of sticks with it. A great scene that is not in the book. They do not have the sequence in the book, but I really liked it happening in the show. Because as it was happening, I was like, this is a great idea. And then as soon as it started happening, I was like, this was a horrible idea.
Yes.
This was never going to work. Rhaenyra finds out that Alicent does not know about the Song of Ice and Fire, the prophecy, which makes sense. But when she tries to explain it to Alicent, Alicent really doubles down on Aegon, and it's all too late, and this all falls apart, and we cut to the credits. And there's one other scene we didn't mention, and that's the one in King's Landing where we meet Ulf the White, who claims to be a dragon seed and a bastard child of Balon the Brave, Viserys and Daemon's dad. This would make him a half-brother to Daemon and Viserys, of course. He also says that he is uncle to the one true queen, Rhaenyra Targaryen, before immediately bowing to Aegon when he walks into the room.
Well,
He's like,
I'm not trying to get
that's just it."
stabbed
He's not trying to-
immediately.
Oh, and also we should mention that Aemond hangs dong, dude. Kudos. Before we get into our big questions for this episode,
Who stands on a bed fully naked? I'm sorry. He stood on that bed, and the cameraman said, "Let me zoom out.
I mean,
Let me get a wide. Let me get a full wide of the entire."
You know he didn't walk into that room butt naked. There was a cloak. There was a robe. He could have dragged, but he's like, nope, I'm going to just big dog these guys by walking right by him.
Big dog. He big dog.
He did. He said, "You can have her."
Oh,
Then
yeah.
step down.
Next time I'm like in bed and like my wife like needs something in the kitchen or something, I'm standing up on the bed and then stepping up.
You're gonna fall so quick.
Probably, but it's gonna be great. It's gonna be a great movie.
It was such an insane scene. I was taken aback. I watched it here with Brandon.
Yeah. Besides Aemon's dong, is there any other favorite moments from this episode we
Why
can talk
can't I
about
say
before
Aemon's
we
dong?
go into our big questions?
Second favorite part, because Aemon's song is my first.
Great.
Love it. He's also like tall. He's
tall
He was
and
so
lanky.
tall.
Yeah.
He's
Sinuous.
so
Those
tall.
abs.
And
I
with
said-
the crazy long hair makes
Yeah.
him even more
I
kind of.
said, first off, also, like Viserys, pop that eye patch back on. It's scary as hell, my dude. And
I like how it glows.
I don't. It's a rock in his eye. And I'm
It
like,
does look uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's like a sapphire or something
Yeah.
like that, right?
like pop that
Yeah,
that batch back on. I can't stand it. I understand that he was in a safe
Yeah.
place during this though. Also, isn't it? Yeah, of course your brother's gonna walk in on you. Your brother is a weirdo. He comes to that place all the time. So when he comes see you eventually one day,
Well,
maybe?
I don't know. I mean, I thought that scene was a great juxtaposition because the episode starts with the Green Council where Aegon looks like a fool and Aemond is like he's telling them what they strategically need to do. And Aegon even says like, they will fear me as a dragon rider. And like no one can even look him in the eye. They're like, yeah, sure. They're going to fear you, dude. No problem. So he gets embarrassed there by Aemond because Aemond feels more confident in the council room planning a war, right? But in the Pillow House, Aemond does not feel confident. He's been,
That's Aegon's territory.
Yeah, he's been sharing the bed with the first woman he like hooked up with, right? And like Aegon's the big dog there. and he comes in and like embarrasses his brother. So I love that kind of juxtaposition.
It reminds me of when Daemon was going there and he was just
Yeah,
hooking
yeah.
up with one person. But my favorite scene is that scene with Alicent and Rhaenyra, because what is also very important is like at the end of the day, Alicent's like, look, even if I was on your side, you know my son. My dad is on court. I can't do anything for you.
It's too late.
It's just too late. And that justification is so nice. I'm like, oh, I can die happily now that you guys finally discussed this. Rhaenyra now knows the false to everything, but also it's already started. It's emotion.
I do appreciate that they like, it's not like all the events of the show are going to go on based on a miscommunication. It's like, no, they both now know exactly what happened, but it's too late.
And it did
way
make
too
it worse
late.
because, like, from Alice's perspective, like, this crazy lady showed up, dressed as a nun. She snuck in. She pulled a knife on me. And then she started making some stuff up about a prophecy, right, that no one's ever heard of before. And it's like, yeah, that looks insane. And even if Alicent deep down knows that maybe I did misunderstand what my husband said in his dying words, right? And he had chosen Rhaenyra every day before that. Even if that's true, I can't let this crazy lady be in charge now because she'll certainly kill me and my whole family. And I gotta just see this through.
I think Alicent doesn't really care to die that much. Her grasping onto Helena is so important to me because I'm like, she lost her 2 sons.
Yeah.
Like her sons are not there. They're not her children anymore. And she wants to still be a mother so bad. And Helena didn't even like let her touch her in the first season. And now she's like, I forgive you. And it's like, oh, I didn't make only psychopathic children. So I'm like, it's like, I feel like Helena's Alicent's at this point where she's like, what am I gonna do? What can I do? I can't do shit. The world to be a woman in this is horrible.
Even some of the most powerful women in all of the land, too, right?
Literally.
Speaking of scenes we liked, you mentioned the oath scene. I liked, that was also a nice one shot leading through the tavern. Yeah, baby. That was really cool. And then I like him just sitting down with his boys and like, we don't get to spend a ton of time on this show with just the normals of Westeros.
Yeah, the small folk.
Right? I love that, like, there's a Dornish guy there who doesn't know him, and so he's got to kind of, like, tell him about it, and he's got his normal buddies, and they're buying rounds, and the king comes in and buys a round for the place. I know, it just gave us a little bit of the everyday there that was kind of nice to add color to the show.
Yeah.
A piece of me is like, give me a show that's the small folk, but it wouldn't be as entertaining.
Nah.
It'd be really sad. A lot of
We're
them
gonna
would die
see
by
more
5.
of that, and like I think like the Hedge Knight, spin-off show that they're little mini-series they're doing and stuff. We'll probably get.
I will get bored.
People always say they want the small folk show, but they're like, "Where's the castle? Where's the beautiful clothes?
Yeah, where's the politics?"
Small folk show is like, well, another day of waking up and eating.
I'm just gonna piss right here.
I'm never gonna travel anywhere. I'm gonna piss and right here and probably sell my children for bread.
Had another child die, but not in a fun execution way, just from malnutrition.
Hey, how much did you pay for your whore today? Well, today I only paid 3 crowns for my whore. What a good day for me.
What a good day for me.
That was a little bit of
a bit.
that was a little bit of Dick Van Dyke, Mary Poppins you had going on there.
Just a little bit of a whore for me.
Wait, a little bit. Wait, a little bit.
What is? Are there chimney sweeps in the universe?
Yeah, we think there was a chimney sweep.
I dumped out all the ashes when they were rounding up everybody.
When they were pulling all the
Episode
people out
2.
of Red Keep. Yeah.
Before we move on, we want to shout out our friends at Mini Katana. I'm holding their signature katana pen. Look at this. It's got a little hilt and it looks like a little samurai sword, but it's also a fully functioning pen. I've been writing notes with it. But of course, that's not their main thing. Their main thing are swords. Look at that. Whoa. It actually does look a lot like, there was a sword we saw this episode.
Cut my head off.
That looks like Daemon's sword.
The
Kind
door?
of has a similar shape.
Well, it's not. Yeah, it's not Dark Sister.
No,
It's
but
just.
That's me.
Hey now,
Hey now.
if I hand you this, will you be good?
Yes. It's dull.
It doesn't matter that it's dull. It's still a large piece of
Can we
steel.
show this on YouTube if I cut my head off?
It's the new Breakroom room sword.
Yeah, can we do this?
room sword. Yeah, we throw this in the locker when John Costa's trying to get in the studio. You can get both this kind of like classic medieval style Game of Thrones sword, and then they also have a lot of katana swords inspired by anime and different properties, some really colorful ones, fun ones, good ones for cosplay. All of that can be had at minikatana.com. And if you use our promo code, you get 15% off your order. So use code NewRockstars for 15% off. Head over to minikatana.com. They got a lot of fun products there. And they're fans of the show. They support us here, so we appreciate them.
My sword needs blood.
Oh, no.
All right, give me this one. Give me this
And then
one.
we want to shout out nerdriot.shop, where you can get this Dawn of the Dragon shirt inspired by the Dawn of the Dead poster from way back in the day. There's different House of the Dragon merch, as well as merch inspired by Acolyte, Marvel
Deadpool
stuff,
and Wolverine.
Deadpool and Wolverine, all kinds of cool stuff there. Check it out, nerdriot.shop.
There's also Breakroom merch.
Breakroom merch. Evan's wearing a Breakroom hat right now.
Boom.
Oh, look at my pretty boy.
There it is.
Who's a pretty boy? Oh, he pointed to himself. Oh, then check out nerdriot.shop.
Covering up
You got
your-
Mike Wazowski, dude.
Your mugging was covered up.
Oh, let's go.
We'll get into our big discussion questions, but first it's time for a return of my favorite segment, Let Her Cook, where we highlight Olivia Cook's best performance this episode.
It's hard
What
to
do you
beat
think?
that. It's hard to beat that last scene.
The last scene was pretty good. I was a strong contender for the Green Council scene, where she's really giving a lot of shade to Kristen Cole. Kristen Cole has like that line that's like, the gods favor the bold. And she's like, the gods did not favor Sir Eric. That was pretty bold, my guy. They were all dunking on him for that bullshit plan, dude. That was great.
So funny.
She's
He's
great.
like, you guys asked me for a plan, and I came up with one, and now you're being mean to me.
I was the only one who did anything, and now I'm gonna cut my hair and look badass.
Oh yeah, low-key, he did. He cut his
Because
hair,
I think-
right?
Yeah, I think it was like a little. He's having depression in the castle. He's in his room. He's not eating. His hair is all.
Well, or
he's
is
got
it-
all these new Kingsguard who are just Aegon's friends, and they're fucking around. He hates it here. He wants to get out. Alicent's being mean to him, not talking to him. Yeah, they're still fucking, but she won't talk to him or look him in the eye.
Also-
and as soon as he gets told he gets to leave, he's like, cutting my hair. I'm getting out in the open road,
Well,
baby.
I have two thoughts on that. One, do you think they're like, hey man, you got to cut your hair so the stunt double can look the same as you under the helmet? Or also, I love that you get promoted. Your hand of the king,
Yeah.
literally his closest advisor. Cool, I'm gonna hit the road.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get out of here.
Yeah, he was like,
He needs-
great. We're in the middle of a work. Great. I'm gonna hit the road.
Him leaving was-
Send some ravens if you need something, I guess.
Him leaving was such a refresher, and then they were like, oh yeah, you're also taking my brother with you. And he's like, fuck.
That was a good little moment. Yeah, I think Alicent got some good digs on him this episode.
Well, also, so now there's a bit of a vacuum at the castle. So there's no Otto there now, and now Kristen Cole's out.
Right.
Is this Laris is just?
I mean, he's already making moves, right? But yeah, he should definitely move. If he wants that job, he should.
Doors
move
open
it.
for him. Yeah.
Yeah, because the Kingsguard's a mess. Terrible, terrible.
I do love like it. They brought more attention to it later, but as soon as you see Kristen Cole walking down the stairs early in the episode, and like the Aegon goons are
Sitting on the
road,
stairs,
just
no
sitting on the
helmets.
steps, and it's like, damn, I gave Eric all that shit for having a dirty cloak,
Yeah.
and these goons are just laying about,
Yeah.
not even being professional at all. I was giving guff to a good knight, and now these slacker loser knights are sullying the same uniform.
Hey, that's what you get for being a idiot.
That's right.
That's what you get.
Idiot.
All right, some of our main questions from this episode. I think the biggest one is like, who's going to strike first here?
Yeah.
Okay. Will Rhaenyra try to keep explaining the prophecy, which I don't think she wants to do. Like, she considers that a family secret. And, she already knows her dad didn't tell Daemon about it.
Yeah.
And she knows Aegon, Alicent's son doesn't know about it because Alicent doesn't know about it. So, like, I think she's like more steadfast than ever now. And this is going to make her be like, no, we got to go to war.
Don't you think as far as who moves first, it's not going to be either of them? It's going to be Daemon and Kristen Cole or somebody
Do
that's
some
already out there
there.
making moves, right?
It does feel like she's gonna intervene when she has to, and I think that's gonna be after she loses a lot of her people. She's gonna be like, okay, let me get on my fucking dragon. But it's interesting because it feels like for the book she won't bring it up, but then it feels like, how are you not gonna bring it up? I mean, or bring up the prophecy. I know that your dad kept it a secret within the family, but didn't tell Daemon. But I'm like, at this point, you kind of got to tell everybody like what you heard.
I guess. I mean,
Because it feels like...
Doesn't it make you seem crazy, though?
I think it does, but I also think, like, what makes you seem crazier is just like, oh, well, I guess she can just... It doesn't feel like she likes living in lies. And it feels weird for her to just go on and people be like, you killed the baby. And also, your dad said that he should be king. And she's just going to sit there and take it? She's going to be like, no, actually, my father said it was me. Said it was me.
The Aemond... Or no, Aegon was playing with a knife.
He's playing with it all
That's
the time.
the knife, right? Like when you hold it up to the fire?
Yeah, he's been carrying it around ever since this season. And I think that's like a fun juxtaposition of him playing around with this dagger that he sees his dad wore as king. And he's like, this is what a king has. And this is the king's dagger. And I play around with it as a toy. Same thing for him wearing Aegon's armor. Aegon the Conqueror, who like wore this armor around as he took over Westeros and united the Seven Kingdoms, right? He's just cosplaying as a ruler. He doesn't know how to be a king. And he's just wearing the affectations of the things he thinks make him look kingly.
The only times we see him really happy.
Yeah.
In the bar with his buddies and in the whorehouse. Yeah. Right?
He's a boy.
And like he's very eager to be like, you know what, Laris, that's a great point. I shouldn't fly out right now and go to war. That's a great point. Yeah, I mean, I think as far as who strikes first, I agree that it won't be up to Rhaenyra or Alicent, though I could see Rhaenyra now being like, you know what, these usurpers, like they've taken the throne away from me and they've put this whole continent in danger.
Yeah.
And I'm the only one who can defend this place. And I've been hesitating to unleash the dragons, but we gotta let them rip, guys. Because really the only dragons Alicent has to let go right now, she doesn't get to say, like you said, it would be up to her sons. Because it would be Aemond on Vhagar, or if like Aegon on Sunfire decides to go do something. Helaena, I don't see like hopping on a dragon right now to go make something happen. She would only do it if like forced to.
That's why I think another person will have to die for her to intervene.
Yeah.
For her to strike. And then it's still dependent on like who is the one that laid that hand. Was it Sir Criston Cole or was it like Gwaine? Like it depends. I don't think she's gonna intervene yet because there's no reason to strike. Because again, what are dragons gonna do? Blow up the entire town? Like
I mean, that's all they can do. They can burn. Yeah. They can burn an army. They can burn a town.
And then when you burn it down, which is what I would do. I would just burn everything in sight. But when you do that, you lose all your people that you had once before. And then on top of that, you got to replenish a town that you just destroyed.
Yeah. And if your dragon is killed during a battle and a bunch of people see that, they're like, oh, we can't kill these dragons.
Yeah.
And they become less fearful. Because Rhaenyra makes the point, like, the fear of the dragon is, like, a bigger thing. Remember, Viserys, like, hated dragons. He wasn't, like, that into it. He was the last one to ride Balerion the Black Dread, one of Aegon Conquest's, Aegon the First dragon.
Whose head is still
whose skull was like,
Dragonstone.
in there. And like, he was the one that told young Rhaenyra, he's like, the dragon, us being like dragon riders, that's all like cuckoo. We don't control these things. Yeah. They're out of control. So I think Rhaenyra, while she respects dragons and likes being a dragon rider, like she understands the danger of like letting these things loose.
Yeah. Well, she's already lost a kid.
Yeah.
On a dragon. Yeah.
I think to both your point and Jessica's point earlier about like the prophecy, I do think that like Rhaenyra could be like, all right, now that I know the reason that they double down on Aegon, I can use the prophecy to tell people and then to use that as action to be like, I do have to step in and protect everybody.
I mean, yeah, and Olivia Cooke and Emma Darcy in that scene, just insane. Like the second, Emma or Rhaenyra hears Alicent say the prince that was promised, like the look on her face, and just like it is a good reminder that she wasn't there when her dad died, and like the last time she saw her dad, he was like alive, very old in the bed, but alive. And like just hearing from Alicent, the last person to talk to him, like what did he actually say, and like did he mention me at all? Oh, brutal.
She said he was wary.
Brutal. And Alicent was like, what's your name again? Nah, I don't think I heard her name.
No, I think he's
Put that knife away, bitch.
Oh,
this is a church. This is a church. That one nun comes over and is like, I got to get away from these.
She said, let me leave now. I also want to add that the more Aegon is a crazy person, 100%, but going into that bar and then being like, everybody, free beer on me. Yeah. Townfolk are easily swayed in some ways. And that is a way that's going to make him look, they're going to be like, oh, this motherfucker bought me beers last night.
It's
I could have a beer with him.
Yeah, I could have a literal beer with the guy.
It is interesting. The show is giving us information in both directions of like how the townsfolk of King's Landing are feeling, right? Because on the one hand, people were genuinely sad during that funeral procession and kind of siding with the Greens. On the other hand, we see Hugh Hammer and his family being like, oh, inflation's crushing us.
There's the blockade.
This blockade, you got to walk a day to get a chicken, whatever.
A piece of a rat catcher fell on me on the way to work.
Yeah.
They should just eat the people.
Oh, now there's an interesting
Eat
concept.
the rat catchers.
Interesting.
But also
Eat the people.
eat each other. Has that happened before in history?
Now, if you ate
Now, if you go to Fleet Bottom, there's a few people.
if you ground up any of Alicent's family and ate them, would that be Soylent Greens? Thank you. I get butt naked, hang dog.
If you stand on this table, it was measly built. You will first of all break it.
Measly built.
Get wood in the dong.
For sure.
We'll have to go. We're gonna go to the hospital.
Oh, the
Also, it's late enough in this episode we can get a little blue.
Sure.
Before we see full-blown naked Aemond, we see what I hope was a prosthetic penis being serviced by
It probably was
a young lady.
Well,
It was so dark I couldn't see anything.
It was, I mean, at least a penis. It might have been 2 or 3 together. I have no. That was. It was. It was.
Evan, pull up the clip.
Pull up the clip right fucking now.
Can that be the thumbnail, Evan? It's just giant.
Or just Zach doing this with his hands. I did not see that part. It was so dark in that scene, but then Aemon's very white, pale body illuminated.
Very well lit.
Illuminated.
Yeah.
Well lit. Very well lit.
Hang dong, dudes.
I do like the brothers have an interesting dynamic, and maybe we'll talk about this as we kind of say like which family's up, which family's down, or whatever. Like the brothers, Aemond and Aegon, aren't like outright fighting,
Right.
But it is a constant kind of minor war of digs. Just a little bit of undercutting,
Yeah.
you know. They have a very interesting dynamic. I like the way it's portrayed. It's not outright hostile, and it's a little bit of like brotherly, like,
It certainly
whatever.
echoes Viserys and Daemon, right? Where it was like Daemon saw himself as the more efficient leader, stronger, aggressive, whereas like Viserys was like, no, I want to keep the realm together. I don't want to have fights where we don't need them. I will hear people out. Aegon's not necessarily like similar to Viserys in that way, but he is more of a laid back leader in that he's like, well, what do you think we should do, guys? Let's hear you out. And he's kind of now been pushed to this point where he's like, I want action. But I think before that, it was clear he was happy to just sit around,
But even
go to hear out the small folk. Tell him
Yeah.
yes, then tell him no when Grandpa said no.
But Aemon's also not a full-blown hothead. He's not like, no, I'm riding Vhagar out there with Kristen Cole. He hears them when they say, like, actually, you probably shouldn't ride Vhagar out there. And he's like, yeah, good point, you know?
Right, yeah, he's
Yeah,
not,
because he
he's
can't
not a
control it.
Yeah.
Oh, that Vhagar would just eat Sir Kristen Cole and the rest of the men.
Yeah.
I like that at least he saw what Vhagar could do because he's like, I'll wait. I'll wait. Maybe I'll train him a little bit more.
Yeah. Now let's talk about Daemon a little bit. You know, he's finally got to Harrenhal. He's been dying to go to Harrenhal. He's finally there. Do we think he's gonna kind of stick with Rhaenyra, like Team Rhaenyra, or is he weaseling to get his own way to the throne? You know, he had a big blowout fight with her last episode that kind of pushed him away. He's not reporting back. They haven't heard from Daemon. He's making the Strongs call him Your Grace.
I think that vision was enough to cement that, like, oh, I am a monster.
You think that rattled him a little bit?
I think it did. That face that Matt Smith made was just like, oh, and I was like, you did this.
Yeah,
You abused this young girl and you killed that baby.
Yeah,
And he didn't have to see that child die.
No.
Right? He hired somebody else to do that. So it's the first time he's kind of having to visually confront that action. Yeah, maybe there is a little shift there.
To see a little girl holding a dead, decapitated baby, and she's just like, are you happy I'm cleaning up your mess again? And I'm like, damn, dude, like, yeah, wake up. You've been a mess your entire life. Do something. And I think that was enough for him to be like, oh, what have I done?
Right. I also think Daemon, he acts like he wants to be the king. He acts angry that he doesn't get to be the king. But I think he loves that. I think deep down he knows, like, I'm not going to get the throne no matter how much I, like, bitch about it or say, like, I would be a better ruler. I think he has the safety of that distance that he acts like he wants it. But I think if he actually got the part, he would be angry. I don't think he really wants to be king. He wants to be close enough He can make strong decisions. He can influence the crown as he sees fit. But like he doesn't have to have the responsibilities of being the king and have that like target on your back the king always has, or queen. King or queen always has in this situation. So while he's playing big dog here with like a couple of the strongs, he doesn't. I think he will stick with like if Rhaenyra tells him to do something, he will do it.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I think he does respect her, and maybe even after this last fight, respects her even more.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much time they'll spend together. I don't know if they'll keep this distance for a while. I don't know.
Yeah, they'll probably like kiss on dragon back.
Yeah.
While they're dragons.
I
are
will
flying.
say, what's a little different from the book, and it's been this way for a while. Daemon just getting to Harrenhal now is different from the book. In the book, he's been at Harrenhal since before Blood and Cheese happened. He orchestrated the events of Blood and Cheese from Harrenhal. So he's just getting there now. So like the timing is definitely changed a lot. The battle at Burning Mill between the Brackens and the Blackwoods, there was a character who kind of leads the Brackens, Sir Amos Bracken. In the book, he dies in that battle. He didn't die in that battle here because there's been an actor cast for that part who has not shown up yet. So I think they are changing some of those events. Lord Blackwood died in that battle in the book and in the show. So like they are definitely changing some things there. So it'll be interesting to see how this whole Riverlands thing plays out. And I think we are leading to a confrontation in this general area. They brought up Grover Tully many times. He's the one that kind of oversees this area, and no one's listening to him because he's an old man and he can barely talk.
Yeah.
As Simon Strong said. That Simon Strong actor too. Great.
Great.
So good. So many good line deliveries.
Just like both having like the casualness of like, man, I was just sitting down for dinner.
Yeah.
But while also like, this guy's kind of scary. I'm not, and a hothead. I'm not gonna piss him off.
Make
I bet
calls,
he probably
Larry's
knows.
Clubfoot. He's like, look at this place. You think there's a fire here?
A
Come
piece
on.
of me believes that he's like lying and knows everything. Not everything, but he's just like, this is Daemon. Like, weren't you Viserys' brother? And weren't you crazy as hell? Weren't you stabbing people in the butt?
That's why he's like, whatever you say, sir.
Yeah, I'll do whatever you want, dude. It's not just because
Those-
you ran into my building with a fucking sword.
Yeah, I will certainly not call Rhaenyra's kids bastards. I would never do that.
I
good
said,
sir.
those are your biological
I said those are
kids.
biological kids right there. Look at them. They're beautiful.
Now
They're
take your
clearly
word.
part Valyrian. Look at them. They're gorgeous.
Oh my god.
Clearly.
White, brown-haired baby.
Clearly half Valyrian.
Speaking of white hair, we spent more time with Ulf. We did meet him last episode when he was admiring the strung up rat catchers.
Yeah, he kind of had a sneaky cameo there. He's jaunt. The camera follows this jaunty gentleman.
steals a
who
piece of
steals
food.
an apple like Aladdin. It's like, what's this? Rat catchers from the lamppost? My.
Yeah, what happened here?
My. Things are getting quirky in King's Landing.
A great way to set up an Aladdin-ass character.
Yeah, and then this bar scene was like just so funny. This weird little scam they're running on like dudes from Dorne to be like, yes, he's half royalty. Look at him. Look at that shock of white hair, half white hair.
And it's a fun context to set that up. Because like, is this just like a tall tale guys telling the bar, like, I caught a fish this big, or I scored 6 touchdowns in one high school football game, or whatever, right? Or is it legit? And the way the character's styled is interesting, because he doesn't have white hair. He has kind of salt and pepper
He's got like half
hair,
white, which he
that
points out, right?
Could be just graying
Sure.
regular hair, or maybe he's always been that way. Hugh Hammer, similar kind of a hair.
Quite a shock of white hair.
I'm just saying, there's not many people out there that have that hair tone, and I wouldn't doubt it. Or I would doubt it, but I wouldn't doubt it too much. I'd be like, you're probably from like a long line, but you ain't the one in the tower.
And the book Fire and Blood makes it very clear that like plenty of royal families have bastards. You know, I mean, it's a thing in Game of Thrones. Jon Snow, he is now it's later revealed that it wasn't, it wasn't Ned Stark's kid, whatever. But like, still a bastard, right? And there are these characters, Alice Rivers, who we're introduced to, is a bastard because she has the last name Rivers. This is a thing that exists out there, and whether or not they are actually, the bastards of royalty, they don't know. The audience doesn't know, but there are plenty of people who will claim this.
Yeah, I think people keep also forgetting that Aegon had like 1 million kids in the first season, and they were all just like sent to sharpen their fingers and teeth and fight in an underground fighting ring.
It is implied
I'm not
in
saying
season
it's.
one.
I'm not
that, like,
saying it's like
we
that
see a
guy.
little kid with like in the child fighting pits with like bright white hair, and we know Aegon's been hitting up the pillow houses all over the place, and it's like there probably are bastards out there.
They're all, but didn't they say like they come from.
I mean, we don't know how true it is, but it is implied.
A straight white-haired child. I'm like, okay.
It could happen. It could happen.
It's probably from all the maids that he assaulted, and they had to get rid of these
I mean,
kids.
it's possible.
I'm just saying, there's vampire babies.
There's vampire babies out there.
Family planning is not super efficient in King's Landing.
No.
That's the last thing on their list.
No.
They'd rather find the goats to feed the fucking dragons.
Let's talk about which side in this civil war is up, who's down. Again, I'm using my patented blur method.
The blur grid.
Blur. B. Blood. Not a lot of deaths or killing this week. I mean, lots, but the
Tell that
Brackens.
to all the mothers and wives of the Brackens and Blackwoods.
But here's what I'll say. It appeared to
They
be.
lost like 3.
3?
Wasn't
There's a
it?
field
You see
full
that
of dead
field?
bodies.
Oh yeah, it was the field of dead bodies. I'm
Jessica, you
sorry,
gotta
my
stop
bad.
watching on your old ass phone.
It ain't old, and I
wa-
lay on my side
She-
at midnight.
She's watching on a Nintendo DS.
Sometimes I'm watching it while doing.
You gotta
the
stop
dishes.
playing Animal Crossing while you're
Absolutely.
watching.
No, but now a lot of them did die off screen, the
is
quick
true.
cut battle. But it seemed like about even numbers on each side, and it's not. Though they sided with the Greens and the Blacks was pointed out, they had beef with each
This
other.
was like a no victory
Yes.
for either side.
So, and then really nobody else died this episode. Or,
I don't know if that poor guard.
Oh, yeah,
and Aaron
good
Hall
point.
died or not.
Good point.
Halt!
But I guess Daemon
did
is the
not
only
halt.
one committing any kind of acts of violence
Yeah.
really that we can see. So I guess I will give credit there to the Blacks for Daemon. Lust.
Definitely the Greens, dude. Hang
Gotta be
dong.
the Greens.
Actually, I get a bonus point for hanging dong like that.
Greens.
They were
Frontal,
they stood
I
up
mean-
6'4".
Coming in, going from the pillow.
I mean,
house.
Aegon's even like, aren't you guys supposed to be, clean now? And they're like, nah, we still got to get this night dirty or whatever.
Yeah.
He said, "Go ahead."
He's like, you took a vow of celibacy. What?
Unity, the U in Blur. This is just like who's building an alliance, versus having infighting within your alliance. Now, both councils are button heads. Rhaenyra is starting to get some pushback from the different old white guys at her table. Right? She's got Rhaenys has her back, and she's got the White Worm on her side. But all the dudes,
Yeah, and
not
there's-
really aligned with her.
Yeah, again, this, as Alicent or as Rhaenyra and Alicent talk about, and this was in episode 1 of the show, season 1 and episode 1 of the show, the tournament, like, they talked about when they were young that, like, these dudes, they've been preparing for war their whole life and they haven't had war and they just want to fight so bad, right? And that's the cases on both of these councils. They all just want to get this fight going. They're so itching to get to this fight because they both think they could win. And, on the Black Council, there are members who are like, hey, I've got land in dangerous areas and I need to go and protect it. And like, if we're not going to start this war here, then I need to get home and I need to shore up my own defenses. And that's why they're getting antsy, because they don't want to see, both sides don't want to see the opposing force show up at their doorstep and start demanding that they come over to their side, because they're just going to say yes.
Because there is a first mover advantage.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
The
yeah.
first group that starts to get really aggressive is probably going to win a bunch of territory really fast, right? Before the other group can back them up. I'm going to say Unity is kind of a wash. Because I don't think either side, I mean, I guess you could make an argument Daemon has won over some strongs to their side.
They've won over the show, and I think what Massaria says is important, where she's like, the Greens, they're kind of losing. They're losing the respect of the people in King's Landing. I mean, she's speaking about her mostly, but her saying like, you have shown me like grace here, and I think that's a smart
And
thing
they never
for
did.
Rhaenyra to hear.
The High Towers are dicks.
And now you got Aegon being like, hang all the rat catchers. So they're not making good. Now that Otto's out, they're not making good moves there in King's Landing.
That's a good point. Okay, I'll give that to the Blacks. And then finally, repartee. And this is just like, who had the zingers? Who had the good lines of the episode? One that stood out to me, Daemon does not get a lot of lines in general on this show, but I love when somebody's like, the throne, he says, it's a big chair made of swords. Hell yeah.
I like that's what I'm like. I like Aemond when he left the pillow house and he was like, "You can have her." It wasn't
What do
nice,
you say?
but it was just like
one whore's the same as the other,
mean thing to
which
say
we
about
know.
it was horrible.
We
but I
know
was
that's
like,
not true.
and we know it's not true. He's in love with her. That's his.
You know,
that's
he
his
went.
baby mama.
You know, he went immediately into the bathroom. He's like, "God, you don't want to say that."
He wrote a note and slipped it under the door and said, "I'm sorry."
He walked butt ass naked all the way home.
It's the Tim Robinson sketch. I like my wife. Why would I say that?
Why would I say that about her? I like her. I like curling up on the bed next to her like a little puppy dog.
It was literally, I just thought about this. It's that scene in every like high school romance movie where the like Grease, he's like, whatever girl, you're stupid. And then he's like, actually I love her.
That's a great point.
But I think the blacks are winning anyway.
There were there were some good zingers. Yeah, I think Alicent had some great zingers against Cole that were a lot of fun. I did like Daemon's line about like I won't be felled by poison peas.
Yes.
Some good alliteration. I like that.
That was a good one. The guy was like, okay, I'm gonna eat it.
Okay, don't eat the peas. I don't
Yeah, what did he say? Well, my cook's not that great. I know it's not quite poison.
That
but,
is. Tell me why that's Zach in that universe. Zach is that man.
Oh, I'd love to be. Give me a dank hall where nobody's gonna bother me, and I got a chef. Come on, that's good living.
That is absolute.
good.
And as soon as
I
a
got
guest
one
shows
guard
up,
out front. Oh, my guy. He ain't stopping anybody. Rhaenys is still killing it with the zingers. She's like always on it.
And the looks.
Yeah.
Giving great, kind of quiet, burning looks.
Yeah.
So who do you think, kind of, which family won the episode?
It sounds like the blacks. At first, I was like, oh, maybe the greens, but I'm like, no, it seems like the blacks are.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Greens had a lot of good zingers, but they were internal. They were zinging each other.
Yeah.
Alicent zinging Cole, Gwaine zinging Cole, Cole's zinging Gwaine.
Zip, zap, zing.
It's all zing. It's internal zings. They're gonna be felled by their own zings.
Oh,
Zings?
felled by their own zing. What's
I don't
that?
give a spank about all these zings.
House of the Zings?
Return of the Zing?
Kingdom of the Planet of the Zings.
Zingdom of the Planet of the Zing.
Zing Part 2?
Oh, no.
Oh no. Yeah, I would give it to the
Wait,
blacks.
was that just Dune Part 2?
Yeah,
What do you mean Dune Zing?
Zing Zing, the Zing Empire.
Oh, my
Lisa
God.
Nog Zing!
Zachary.
That's not zing!
Wait, aren't you a Zachariah?
I am a Zachariah.
Yeah, you're a Zachariah. There's a Zachary.
Some would say a Zingariah. Really.
We gotta go.
You are that man at Harrenhal. My cook's not that good.
Sorry, no currants.
Red currants.
People love currants in Europe, right? Throw it in
Yeah.
the chat if you're watching it.
I remember going on a trip after school to England, and like I got a bag of Skittles, and the grape was not grape; it was currant, and it tasted awful.
Oh, really?
Into the
It
store.
tastes
Is
that
it
different?
like?
It was a very different taste than like the artificial grape taste.
Oh, well, yeah, they're also
I've
not
come
allowed to
accustomed
have weird
in America.
chemicals in their candy
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah, I
so-
was like, "Where's the cancer-causing chemicals?" Huh?
This is like the Turkish delights all over again.
This is the Turkish
They made that
delights all
shit
over
look
again.
so good, and then when I
Oh
had it,
my
I said,
God.
"This is straight shit."
You read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and you're like, I can't wait to have a
I
Turkish
said-
delight. It's gonna blow my mind. And you have one, you're like,
I
the
like,
fuck is this?
I
This
like
is
Turkish
candy?
delights.
Of
I like
course you
nougat.
do, Zach.
Zingaraya over here, loving
Nuts,
Turkish
nuts and
delight.
nougat? Get out of here.
You know, in the Small Folks show, a big plot line is who gets the currant that episode.
Oh, yeah. You won't believe it. I had 2 currants in my peas. I must be a lucky man.
I want 19 hours for these currants.
No, that was a good one. No, that was good. Those are both
It's a
good.
little Ringo-ish.
Oh, it
I
was.
say the blacks are up in power.
Yeah, the blacks. Yeah, I think blacks too. I
We've
think
been on a
blacks
run,
too.
you know. I
They
feel
got
like that's-
Harrenhal. They've already got the strategic advantage.
That is true. They got Harrenhal.
I think like next episode, I'm really excited for next episode to see like what's gonna happen.
There
Yeah,
have
this
been
was a-
some rumors that episode 4 is
Big
very
battle?
exciting. Very
Well, it has to. This laid out the foundation. It's like, okay, here's where everyone is. Next episode, they're flying.
Yeah,
They're
I think,
going.
I
Someone's
think
gonna
after
stab.
this episode, both Alicent and Rhaenyra are steadfast, and they're gonna push for like let's kick this off.
I want one important death, and it's either gonna have to be someone in either families or a dragon. Ooh. It has to be. I'm predicting right now. You heard it first.
You want to get a Deadpool going? Should we
I
get a
say
Deadpool
Massaria dies next episode.
going? Ooh, Massaria.
What?
Oh no.
I thought you said Viserys, and I was like, wow, you're late.
There's another Viserys. That's just what you
There
know. There's
is.
another
Oh, sorry.
Viserys.
No, he's got a
They're
grand.
gonna kill another baby.
Missaria. Wow, how do you think she dies?
I haven't thought that far ahead.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
pulling over Rhaneyra.
I could see in the worst way. I don't think Daemon would do it, but I could also see Daemon doing it. Daemon being like, "You sly
Ooh.
bitch," getting mad.
Yeah, I don't know.
She's gonna get killed by like Sir Kristen Cole. Like it's gonna be that team is gonna reach there, and she's gonna be like on her way out. They're gonna be far. She's gonna be far away. She's gonna be on like ready to go.
Or for some reason they send her back to King's Landing. There's
Yeah.
a intercept. Yeah.
I've read the book. Everyone dies in the book eventually, because it goes on so long.
Not
But-
everybody.
But this show is changing. When things happen,
Orders, yeah.
things happen. I think they can make some big changes on death. Well, that's it for us today. Hey, make sure to subscribe to the Breakroom channel right here on YouTube and give us a follow on Twitch. We do videos like this live. Make sure to follow at Breakroom and R on Instagram, Twitter, Threads, Twitch, all that great stuff. We'll catch you next time. Later, Gators. Goodbye.
Bye.